Hi everyone, this is Isha Bhansali. I'm here for the Art and the Fashion series with Kiran Najar Museum of Art. And before I get started, I want to thank them for bringing us together and giving me a chance to talk about how art influences me in my daily life. So let me take you back to when I was 12 years old. As a kid, I've been a huge nature lover, and I live by the sea, so I've always been admiring, the sunsets, the moonsets, the waves, the rocks, the splashes, the sun, the sky, the clouds, the silver lining, and that's how I've grown up. I decided I wanted to be a fine artist, but life took a turn, and I took up commerce. After that, I took up advertising, and now I am a fashion stylist. But yet, there is so much of art in me, and I'm still always influenced by art. And as and when I got more involved in it, I started loving the romantics. I started exploring Monet's work, Manet's work, Turner's work, but my most favorite was John Constable. I love the way he does the British landscape. I love the way he does the clouds, the way he does his grays, the way he does the sun at the same time, the way he does his blues, the way he does his greens. There is so much depth in his painting, and it's after, it's ever since I started discovering his work, I even began to love architecture. And that's when I got more into spires and domes and arches and gargoyles. My most favorite painting of his is the Salisbury Cathedral, which I tried doing it myself as well. There's also the Hay Vane, which I've done. And let me tell you, they've taken me months to finish because I did with oil. And I remember I had an art teacher, and she did tell me there's no such thing as black in nature. And I've kept a few things of hers in mind. And yes, that's how I got full fledged into it. I've also loved Monet's work. I love the water lilies, they're so beautiful. There's something about Monet that is very soothing. I think it's the way he does his pastels. And the way he blends his colors, the way he moves from the violets to the pinks, from the peaches to the greens. And that's what I've loved about Monet. And I think there is so much of him in me, in the way I work, and even when I'm working today. I just love the way colors blend, and I'm just so big about that. And yes, I think it's my tryst with art that has made me observe things around me very often, and it just helps me a lot in my work. Back in India, I love Amrita Shergill's work. I'm a great admirer of B. Prabha's work. I even like Souza's work, although that's a little more geometric. But I'm a great lover of Amrita Shergill especially, and even B. Prabha, because I love the way they get the Indian women. I love the way they get the colors, the browns, their somber tertiary shades, their rural India, and it's just a completely whole new perspective. And it's just beautiful how they even get every little detailing. In fact, there's a little pot that I had done many, many, many years ago, and I tried to incorporate one of their paintings on this pot. And, I felt it kind of went very well because, it's kind of earthy, and even the pot is earthen, and I just felt that marriage was just amazing. So this is something I try to do even when I was a kid. And so I think this is how Indian art has also influenced me. When I started doing fashion, I started getting highly influenced by many other forms of art as well. And I realized that there's not just fine art, and there's a whole new world beyond that. There is surrealism, there is abstract arts, there's Dadaism, there's Cubism, there is modernism, there is minimalism, there is maximalism, and the list is absolutely endless. In fashion, most importantly, the biggest way to get art into our work is through print. And I think you've already heard Gauri and Nanika speak about how they've incorporated an artist's print on their work. And there are a lot of other designers as well who have done it so brilliantly. There is Versace, who had Andy Warhol's painting on their clothes. There is Elsa Schiaparelli, who had Dali's work on her clothes. If you all know about the Piet Mondrian, the Dutch artist, he had his geometric paint on Hermes's dresses. And Alexander McQueen, he had Damien Hirst's work on his clothes, so predominantly. Galliano had so many canvases on his clothes and on his collections. So, fashion has always been inspired by art. The biggest way for fashion to get inspired is through print and through painting, through fabric painting, through dyeing. There's tie and dye, which I'm going to be talking to you about as well. So here, there's this whole new list of things that fashion can get influenced from, through art. Even when you see a Dolce & Gabbana's 2008 collection, it had painterly printed dresses. And even in 2009, they had gorgeous painterly printed gowns. And if you've seen, so many magazine covers had their dresses on it. There's this fantastic Vogue cover which had Kareena Kapoor wearing a DNG gown in 2008. There's an Elle cover which had Lara Datta wearing DNG gown. Again, both of these were painterly prints. So this is huge canvas. There is a common denominator between fashion and art, and that is a muse. To have a muse is how you express your feelings through art. And that is what is common between a person in fashion and a painter. For a painter, a muse would be a person, a muse would be nature, a muse would be an object. For fashion, we have a muse. We always have a celebrity, we have a model, we have a person. And it is through the muse we express our creativity, we express our ideas, and we do it through clothes, we do it through colors, we do it through prints. Artists do it through paints, again with colors. So there is a lot of color play. There is, in fashion, we have a lot of textiles. In art, there is paints. But there is a muse which is common to both of us. That's both fashion and art. And that is something we always work around. And that is something which is the most fascinating thing about any form of art, is that you need a muse. In addition to this, fashion photography has been a core medium through express art. And, as a stylist, we've worked a lot with photographers and we've created shoots where we've talked about our trends, we've talked about the kind of ideas that we have for the current season. We talk about certain craft that designers have been doing and that we celebrated. I want to talk about this one shoot that I did, which I was highly inspired by Ophelia. I don't know if you know that painting, but it's a character from Shakespeare. And it's this woman who's drowning in water, and there are lots and lots of flowers around her. She looks like this fairy. She looks like an angel. And there was a shoot that I did, which was a spring summer shoot. And of course, we did florals, and then we did like kind of tropical prints as well. But most of it had more florals. I wanted to do a lot of backlighting and give her a very angelic feel. So we did kind of backlighting. I worked with softer colors and very flying, flowy hair. She had a very soft face, and I had a lot of florals in this. The whole thing was very angelic, it was very dreamy, it was very romantic. That is one. Another is this shoot that I had done with lace. I was inspired by Victorian paintings, and we did not want to go very OTT on this, like the way the Victorian paintings would have. But we wanted to have certain influences, so we kind of like made it look very powdery, like very white, like porcelain, and we had lovely lace, and most of the motifs were very European, they were very Western, they were very Renaissance, and we again did a lot of backlighting here to give a very angelic feel. That is one. There was another one that we did where, of course, this was more of an Indian shoot, but the colors were so soft and dreamy. Again, here I wanted to get a mood and a very feel of a Renaissance painting. And the whites were just blending in, the entire background, and that's how we played with the light. In another one out here, I was highly influenced by graphic art or even cubism, and this was a whole very futuristic theme. So we did it against a white background, we had a projector, and then we had splashes of color through light. And she was wearing extremely futuristic outfits. And this one has been my favorite, and we did like geometric shapes. And I think it was completely inspired by graphic art and cubism, and that's how we kind of pulled the shoot off. I also want to talk about maximalism and minimalism, which we are extremely influenced by in fashion. And this is something that we do almost every season. When it comes to minimalism, I want to talk about the shoot that I did with Sonakshi Sinha, where it was completely minimal, very graphic, very less color, very just about strong statement lines. That is one. And then I did something that's maximalism, which has Aditi Rao Hayadri on the cover of Femina. It kind of obviously has a very tribal feel, but the fur gives it like this extremely northern western feel as well. And I kind of went all out in the jewelry, we went all out in the makeup, and we just layered up and this kind of gave a little bit of hint of maximalism. Of course, there have been many editorials that have taken maximalism to another level, that have taken Renaissance paintings to another level, and have done all out in terms of makeup and hair and clothes and just jewels. It's been absolutely all over, and that's how they have expressed their desire for art in everyday life. I'm now a menswear celebrity stylist, and I'm lucky to be working with some great, fantastic personalities of Bollywood. My most favorite is Ayushmann Khurrana. He's such a brilliant actor, but at the same time, he's got a great personality that could pull off all sorts of fashion, and he can carry it off with such aplomb. He's also open to experiments, and my recent most favorite look with him is this gorgeous twin set by Levi's, which was done in tie-dye, which has also been a big trend of 2020. But I love the way it had been done. I love the color play, and I also love the way the colors have blended. It gives me a very Monet feel with because he uses the same kind of colors in his paintings as well. And when we were styling him, the photographer and I wanted to click his pictures. And he had this sort of a backdrop which had a bit of blending and a bit of rendering at the background as well, similar to the colors of the outfit. But at the same time, to give it more depth, he added colored shadows. So he sort of did it with his lighting. And he did such a brilliant job in photographing Ayushman. And I love the whole thing. It gives like a very painterly feel to this entire thing. That's how I've been influenced, by art. There's also been this lovely look by Suket Dheer, which has some influences of Madhubani paintings done on silk, and it's kind of a print. But I just love the way it has been incorporated in a gorgeous, gorgeous suit, and that's where we've also been influenced by art. We did a similar kind of an effect with this gorgeous Xenia trucker suit, and even this also had beautiful tie-dye that had a very painterly feel to it, and we gave like a very soft mood. And again, here we did some backlighting with this very soft curtain, and we kind of wanted to make it look like a painting because of the tie-dye that is so predominantly in this. There's also this gorgeous tuxedo I want to speak about, done by Gaurav Gupta, that had a lot of influences from Baroque art. Now, if you really go to see, a lot of these paintings had floral Baroque kind of creepers and designs, and it kind of gives that sort of an inspiration. And all these things are inspired by paintings and architecture and art in turn. And that's how we have it so predominantly in fashion as well. So here have been a few examples of how art influences me in everyday life, in my work, in my features, in my styling. And it's just something I just can't get enough of. And now that there's a lockdown, I've been doing a lot of sketches. I've been trying to do some portraiture as well. And I'm trying to do a bit of architecture, a bit of nature, and also clothing, because I love the way fashion and art come together. There were a couple of sketches which I did. There was this one jacket that had a very autumn feel to it, so I kind of did autumn leaves next to it. There was these pair of distressed shots, and I love the way that the distressed feel was coming, because it gives a very root trees sort of effect. And so I did this beautiful lilac flower next to it to give a very hint of nature next to it. That's how I've been blending these two things together, and it's just something that I would love to keep doing it again and again and again. So yes, here's though a little bit of art and fashion in me. I hope you enjoyed this.